Welcome to another episode of the Meter Cute interviews here on Meter and Mayhem. Today I'm talking with Lisa St. John, a writer living in the Hudson Valley of New York State. As a former high school English teacher and current adjunct for SUNY New Paltz, Lisa supervises new student teachers. She also serves as a board member of the Stone Ridge Library Foundation and the International Women's Writing Guild. Her book, Swallowing Stones, is available now from Kelsey Books. So sit back, relax, and get ready to fall in love.
These are from my book, Swallowing Stones by Kelsey Press. And this is a guzzle called Deep End of Instinct. Calling to Baba Yaga, not running away. Does she dream of waves? Enter primeval, bold sisterhood, a salty, turbulent scream of waves. Triple goddesses spiral, a maiden, a mother, a crone, speech past father time, dusty contrivance too linear, beams of waves. Crying womb memory, poets elaborate story dimensions while passing a history through tears. A sorrow song gleams of waves. Language ancient, so old, Yayarona's forgotten, our fire's tears. Silent absorption of lessons, these words title, the realm of waves. Fracture the darkness, poet. Ancestral vision escapes it all into the instinct, the deep end of instinct, the caress of waves. And this is a Sapphic meter. The whole book is not in meter, but I got to sneak a few in. So this is called Postcard to the Dead. I remember rescue from life's dull deluge, spoonfuls, tiny memory road trips, beauty, now attentive, energy, gently faithful through your eyes, always. Once upon, imagine us raising, holding time aloft, and building our coastal castle. Listen, waves lap, rhythmic purrs, wind howls, gathering shadows. These are a couple new poems who haven't found a publication home yet, but are in my favorite meter, Amphibrachs. The Eternal Abduction. That Hades, original stalker, unworthy of lovers, undressing Persephone, mind's eye, a lecherous creeper. Young daughter so gentle, just playing still, gathering flowers. Persephone chilling with friend nymphs, Oceanids watching. Demeter is digging, inspections and duty, no thought of a danger. Did all she could, trusting in soon-to-be sirens. Hey, Zeus, you're a sorry old sack of wet shit for ensuring sweet Gaia's involvement. She brought forth Narcissus, incredulous. Old Hecate hears some appalling dismay, but she ignores. We all wish that someone will deal with these nuisances, don't we? Oh, Hades and horses and stealing a girl child. There's plenty of maidens like fish in the sea, right? Hey, every odd 41 seconds a child gets abducted. And what's rape to a swan anyway? Wrong story. There are so many, though it's almost like we're used to them by now. This is in Amphibrachs tetrameter, tetrameter. I always want to say it both ways. True stages. Upheaval is primary. Madness can visit in moments unleashed, but true horror reserved for the private delights. And regarding the sorrow, infinity dreams of an ending can only dream. frustration, depression, akin to deep anger. Hysterics appear at odd times. Recognition of absence and fear of the permanence. Longing, a lasting result. There's resentment of others, joy. Acceptance, imposture. Imagine that every lone atom still dances in stardust's grace, ageless. Consider the odds of connection. Beyond odd, I celebrate all of your luminous being. Thank you so much, Jen.
Wow, Lisa, that was fabulous.
Thank you. Thank
And I
you.
love, huh? Oh, sorry.
Just thank you.
I loved one of the I loved that the poem telling off the Greek gods about the abduction. I love that that was an Amphibrachs because with Annie Finch's system, Amphibrachs go with the soul, and I felt like that poem was like standing up for the soul of everyone who's ever been on the shit end of a powerful man, you know?
Right?
Like,
That's
oh,
exactly it. And Amphibrach is my favorite meter to write in. I'll find myself really focusing on dactyls or really trying to write in a certain meter, and all of a sudden it goes, one more syllable here. Like, it just wants to be an Amphibrach.
did you realize how long have you, well, let me, I have so many questions. Because I'm so excited that Amphibrachs have popped up because you don't see a lot of folks writing in Amphibrachs. Um, have you always loved them?
Ever since I started training, working in meter, yes, I've always found them mysterious and spiritual. And like I said, if I'm doing exercises, which I hope most poets do, I do exercises, right, that never see the light of day in Anapest or dactyls or whatever. Every now and then I'll get one that just wants to turn. It just wants that extra syllable and wants to be, a three, what do you call that? Tetrameter tends to work well, but I mean, it's that 3 accent syllable. I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. You have to correct me here, Jen. That 3 syllable foot. That's what I mean. That it just draws me. A lot of my free verse poems turn into Amphibrachs if I work them enough. It's like kneading dough sometimes, you're just like, okay, it's kind of ready. Nope, there's another bubble. All right, let's keep going.
Right. That's such a good way to look at it. And you hope you get a good loaf in the end.
Right, right.
Um, so one of the questions I typically ask folks is what's a meter that you're in love with? Did you want to talk about a different meter or more
No,
about
I love the Amphibrachs, but when you start reading poetry, you're so, I was anyway, so geared towards the I am, because that's what I read. I'm like, oh, I like poetry, and you read all the old dead white guys, right? But there's so many women write well in IAMs too. And so it's iambic is not as stale to me as I think that it feels to other people. So, you look at Rilke, wow, and I love to write ekphrastic poetry, poetry about art, and his Apollo, the torso of what is it? The archaic torso of Apollo. The one where at the end he's like, you must change your life. You're like, oh, wow, that was amazing. And then once you're studying meter, you scan it and you're like, this is pretty iambic most of the way through. But Yeah, it's the I am is what of the mind, right? Of thinking and my sister once told me, and not in a good way, in a derogatory way, you live too much in your own head. I'm like, "Mm, yeah, I guess I do. So I like the I am too, but I don't write in it very often. I just appreciate it.
Mm. With Amphibrachs, do you ever feel, because the big sort of amphibrachic form is the limerick.
Oh yeah.
Does that ever get in, does that ever get in your head, or are you pretty divorced from that?
That's so funny. I forgot that. I'm so glad you told me that. I forgot that. I really did. And now that I think about it, it works. Yeah, of course they're amphibrachs. I'm in a couple different writer groups, and I don't know if this is a plus or a negative. I'll have to ask the Poetry Witch community, but when I bring a poem and I get comments on it and people will say, I love the way it moves. They have no idea that it's in metrical feet.
Right.
I'll say, oh, thanks. It's in amphibrach tetrameter. And they'll go, what? But but they don't notice the amphibrach. And so it's kind of the opposite of the limerick feeling.
Yeah, they can't, they can't place why it's driving them on. They just know that it is.
Exactly. Exactly.
I feel like that's such a gift that meter brings, that you can enjoy it even if you don't know, all the terms and everything that's going on, right? Like you can still vibe with it and love it.
That's so true. Like this one writing group that I'm in is a mix of poets and novelists and graphic designers and all kinds of things. And um, it's wonderful to hear a non-poet, which I hate to say that, but they don't consider themselves poets. They don't write poetry. I love to hear what they have to say. It's so important to me because it's like, I don't know, does it land right? And to a poet's ear, certain things land because we're attuned to
Mhm.
something, right? Where
Yeah.
if if like if somebody's reading and they don't say anything, you're like, oh my gosh, what a villanelle. Wow, that was an amazing villanelle. Even if they don't say it, we can hear it. We know the pattern, we know the form. Other people won't be as intrigued by that, but they still like the poem. So it's on another level, right? It's on a
Mhm.
different reader level.
Yeah, and you really know when a villanelle has not worked, when somebody who doesn't recognize it as a villanelle says like, there's so much repetition in this poem. They're like, oh, okay, so they didn't recognize the form, and it's clunky then, huh? I get
Good.
it.
That's the perfect word for it. Clunky. That's it, man. That's it. It's clunky.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a big Sestina fan.
Mhm.
I try to do villanelles, and I've done a few, but I Sestinas are and sonnets are a little closer to my heart.
I hear that. I hear that. And I think because for me anyway, I love the Sistina and I've written a few. And the Villanelle is harder because all I can do in my own head, in my own edit head, not my poet head, is like, is it as good as Do Not Go Gentle to That Good Night? Right. And
Oh,
if it's not, then oh, I failed.
those are some high stakes to put on yourself, Lisa.
Exactly, exactly. But that's what I do with the Villanelle. I don't know why that is. It's just in my edit head.
Hmm. I can feel that. Um, you did the one poem you did was in Sapphics, right?
Yes, that's
Uh,
fun.
how did you because again, Sapphics is something that a lot of people, some people may know who Sappho is and understand the
Right.
usage of the term Sapphics to describe people now, but like in terms of poetry, may not have any idea. How did you get into Sapphics?
Um, Annie Finch,
Ugh.
obviously, her classes, and just moving into more complex meters and forms, and reading some of it and going, oh, I got to try that. I've got to try that. And where was I? I was at a workshop somewhere. I'm a workshop junkie, Zoom and in person. And they had given us a prompt, and I started writing, and then I was like, wait, this this looks like something, like I can't picture it. And it's called Postcard to the Dead, but it is I thought it needs a form, right? And then I started writing, and I was like, oh wait, what is that? The Sapphic form. Let me see if it kind of matches. And they kind of worked together between my initial writing of it, and then looking at the meter and saying, yes, let me try that. And it worked. I think it worked. I think it was a successful poem.
Yeah, I think that was an absolutely beautiful poem. I loved it. I loved, I was so excited to hear, because I've heard some of your work, but I don't think I've ever heard you read your work very often. And that was just a delight, for me.
Well,
Um, Again, especially when you're giving the Greek gods hell. I they need
yeah,
someone.
I wonder why that poem hasn't gotten published yet. I'm like, well, let's see.
Have you, um,
It'll find a home eventually.
yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, like, sometimes it's just a matter of sending it out to like one more place, but like you never know when it's gonna be that one more place. So you have to just keep sending
Exactly.
sending it
That's
out.
a whole other part of the poet's world, and I guess any writer's world, that's it's so different than the creative part, right? When we're actually writing and working and editing a poem versus when we're like, all right, who wants it? Let's get it out there in the world. And it's much more linear, it's much more analytical. I've got a spreadsheet of where I've sent things, I'm sure everyone does, and when I sent them. And I have a very, very thick, huge, giant pile of rejections, right? In my email folder. I save them all. And they actually give me hope. Like if I'm in a doldrum, if I'm in a funk where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, maybe I look at my rejections folder, and I'm like, I did that. I put that out there. Look at all those things I put out there. And it actually makes me feel better.
Wow. That huh. I never thought about it that way. Because for me, I have to just like not focus on the result at all. I keep tallies of how many things I've submitted, and I reward myself for the number of submissions I do.
Oh,
Because if I start even looking at the um rejection or acceptance, then it messes with me. So I'm so impressed that you can find some comfort in looking at that and seeing that rejections mean work.
yeah, yeah. Stephen King, in his book on writing, which is an incredibly helpful book, said something about in the old days, right? Posting his rejections on a nail in his bedroom, paper rejection, ting, 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 and watching them fill up, right? Um, and I just thought, that's it, man. I want to fill up my nail.
That's I love that. I love that phrase even. That's so good. What other advice would you give to like a younger Lisa?
A younger writer, Lisa?
However you want to take it.
I would say to a younger Lisa, I think I would say keep writing. Just because some people tell you that it's not good enough doesn't mean it's not good enough. So keep going, and don't let other people prevent you from working. You got to keep working. You just have to keep working, like anything. The more you do it, the better you get at it if you learn from it, right? So I would tell her to just keep working and not give up, waste so much time trying other things.
When you say trying other things, do you mean trying other forms of poetry or trying other things other than poetry?
Other forms of art, yeah. Pastel work, painting, photography, bartending, waitressing,
Ooh.
um, teaching, which I did love. I did it for over 20 years, and I retired early from teaching high school English, and I'm really glad I did. I went to a summer conference for the International Women's Writing Guild, and I took a sabbatical from work and took a year off and said, all right, can you really do this? Or are you going to just sit on the couch and get fat watching Star Trek reruns? Can you really do it? And I worked my butt off. Like, I really worked hard and went to a bunch of workshops and learned a lot, and decided that I could definitely do it. And then I thought to myself, it's okay. I got it. I'll work full time teaching high school students because I love teenagers, and I'll write part-time and I'll make it a big deal. And no, it didn't work. It didn't work. Because the kids are always going to come first, and they should, right? So I decided, though, that I could write full-time and teach part-time. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm writing full-time, and I teach new teachers. I supervise student teachers for SUNY New Paltz. And so I still have my toes in it a little bit, but it's not my own classroom with all the bureaucracy and the paperwork and the paperwork and the bureaucracy and the meetings and the meetings and the bureaucracy. And yeah. So I forgot the question. But that was
you already answered it. It was just about advice you have for a younger you. So
keep doing it. Right.
and I'm just thinking, because my bachelor's and my first master's are in education. And I'm just thinking how much fun it would be to have you as like the supervising professor for student teaching. I feel like those student teachers are very lucky to have you.
Thank you. I love it. I really love it. And I knew after I had student teachers in my own classroom, for years, I was like, man, if I ever get out of the classroom, that's what I want to do. I want to work with new teachers because they're so hungry and passionate, and they fall in love with the kids, and that's the job. That's it. The question is, why do you want to be a teacher? If the answer is anything other than because I love kids, then you're not on my team.
Yeah. One time in I don't even remember which class it was one of my education classes, the professor went around the circle and asked everybody to say what they planned on teaching. And, everybody's saying their subjects, blah, 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 blah. So we get around to the end and he goes, everybody's wrong. You're going to be teaching students. And we were like, oh, mind blown. Yeah. Yeah. And it really, that same point you were making, right? Like really drove that home for us.
Yeah.
What advice do you think that a younger Lisa would have for you now? What wisdom can she send up to you from the past?
Ooh, from the past. Lisa from the past. Advice to me now: calm down. Calm down. You're a little uptight. You're a little I have very high, leaving a job, a 9-to-5 gig like teaching, right, and moving into a world that's much more subjective has made me realize what unrealistic high expectations I have for myself. Like some people, yes, what's your process? Oh, I write 4,000 words a day, bam. Or I write from 8 a.m. until 2, no matter what, bam. Or I do, these really specific things. And I've tried many, many of those things, and I can't do it that way. And so some days I'll wake up and say, oh, let's see. Oh my gosh, those poems really need editing. They're just babies and they're not quite finished yet. I'm going to edit today. Or I'm in a submission mode. I'm in an analytical submission mode. Let's put some checks on the chart. But then that part of me that's so used to a 9-to-5 gig is like, wow, wait, you didn't write today. Bad you, bad Lisa, you didn't write today. And so I would think younger Lisa would tell me to just chill out, just calm down a little bit.
I think that's good advice. I feel like whenever you try to write a villanelle and all you can think of is do not go gentle into that good night, you need to have younger Lisa just coming out like, chill, chill.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I feel like I have so many more questions, but also I feel like our time is kind of coming to a close here a little bit. So is there anything else that you want while you've got sort of a captive audience from the interview? Is there any other work you have coming out or anything that you want to kind of give a quick plug for?
I'm working on a book about, I think it's like a poetry meets science kind of book, but right now I'm much more involved with doing readings and selling Swallowing Stones, which you can get from Kelsey Books or my website at lisachristinastjohn.com.
Oh.
And it's also this holiday season or whatever, and I'm quite over it. So I I feel like the other thing I want to say is advice to poets is like, man, go back, go read some metered work, go read some Edna St. Vincent Millay, go read Rilke, go read a favorite poet right now that I have is Patricia Smith. She's just mind-blowing. And her new book, Unshuttered, is so fabulous. It's so fabulous. She's found all these old pictures and written all these persona poems that go with the pictures. And it's just,
Oh, great.
oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. It's blowing my mind. So read. Buy poets' books and read them.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think I'm gonna go off and read some poetry now. Thank you for coming in and letting me chat with you and pick your brain a little bit, Lisa.
Oh, Jen, it's been so much fun. Anytime. Thank you. Thank you all.
What a fun interview. I think that I loved Lisa's reading voice almost as much as I loved her poems. And I'll tell you one thing, Sapphics and Amphibrachs are both incredibly difficult to pull off in a way that sounds natural and good to our modern ears. And wow, she just knocked that out of the park. Um, I don't know why I just used a baseball metaphor. I I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it was the most apt, but that was amazing. That's my brain is not even functioning because it's so overwhelmed by watching what she was able to do with those meters, with those forms, and make it just seem completely effortless, effort. Thanks for stopping by.